Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terry O'Sullivan, and I'm Director of the Education Centre here in Tralee. You're all very welcome to our very first webinar on the Zoom conferencing application. The Education Centre Tralee is facilitating today's webinar in conjunction with IMS Limerick, who are partners for Zoom in Ireland. On our panel today, we have Leo Colgan, who is Director of IMS, and Eva O'Dea, who is Principal of School in Limerick City, with over 700 students and 40 staff. I would like to begin today's webinar by acknowledging and appraising the massive efforts of all schools across the county and country in the last number of weeks. The resilience shown by the teaching community has been simply phenomenal. Schools have adapted and shown a massive degree of flexibility with little or no notice. Speaking to many principals and teachers over the last number of weeks, it's extremely heartening to see the way schools and teachers have really pulled together in a time of adversity and have responded to their own context in a very professional manner. If there is one thing I want you all to take from today's webinar, it is that context is of huge significance, something that was also reinforced by Michael McNamara, PDST team leader for the Digital Technologies team during the PDST and Teaching Council webinar yesterday. You, as a school leader, are best placed to decide what works for your teachers, staff, pupils, and parents. Speaking to principals across the county, there is understandably huge levels of anxiety across society due to this worldwide pandemic. We as school leaders must do our best to support each other and not add to this anxiety. As a nation, when the chips are down, we really rally around each other. This is what schools are doing presently, responding to their own individual contexts. Wherever your school is at with its digital journey, now is not the time to try to climb Mount Everest. Small steps that bring your staff, pupils, and parents along the pathway. During this challenging time, the health and well-being of you, your staff, your pupils, and their parents is of most importance. The sharing and collaboration of resources by schools has been unbelievable. However, this too comes at a degree of caution, as schools feel under pressure using additional resources. My advice is not to panic. Small, achievable targets that suit the context of your school. As a school leader, you're steering your ship through these uncharted waters. Please don't stress on what's happening in the ship alongside you. The objective of today's webinar is to introduce participants to the basic functions of the Zoom conference application and how it could potentially be used in a school setting. I'm very conscious that we have participants from the different sectors represented today, both primary and post-primary principal and post holders, as well as third level lecturers. The key point to note today is that this is not a sales pitch for Zoom. Instead, it is an opportunity for you as a school leader to decide if this application is something that could be of benefit to your school and your wider school community in these unprecedented and extremely challenging times. Our role as the Education Centre is to support schools and offer impartial advice on educational matters. It is not to recommend one product over the next. There are many other platforms which I'm sure you're all fully aware that offer similar type support to schools. We have chosen Zoom as a starting point as many principals and teachers have begun to navigate this platform over the last number of weeks. I would now like to introduce to you Leo Colgan, Managing Director of IMS, who are partners with Zoom in Ireland. Leo will give you a broad overview from the very basics of setting up Zoom to its huge potential in a school setting. Eva O'Dea will then speak on his experience of using Zoom in his school over the last number of weeks. We will conclude today's webinar with a Q&A from participants. We'll do our very best to answer as many questions as possible. We'd also be very grateful for participants to share their experience of using Zoom if they have used it in the last number of weeks. I hope you all enjoy today's webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Terry. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this webinar. By virtue of the fact that you're here means you're already all using Zoom, whether you realize it or not. So well done for getting onto the webinar. So this is a Zoom webinar, and just a little bit of housekeeping for you guys. What will happen during the webinar, a couple of things will happen, like what you see at the moment. You can answer poll questions. We'll put up a number of polls throughout the course of the webinar, and you can put your answers in, and it'll be great to get your feedback as we go along. The webinar, for your information, will also be recorded, which means that we can send a link to of the webinar recording to every participant in the webinar once it's complete. And at the bottom of your screen, if you move your mouse down over the bottom of your screen, you should see Q&A. And that's where you can click in and you can ask a question live. And we have, me and my colleagues in the background will be answering those questions in the Q&A section. And also at the end of the webinar, we will have sufficient time to answer plenty of your questions as they come in. And I'm sure you will have questions. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Zoom in a little bit more detail. So just before we get into the Zoom, I guess you're wondering who are IMS and why are we here? IMS are a company based in Limerick. We offer managed broadband and Wi-Fi solutions and IP phone and TV solutions and video conferencing. And in that element of video conferencing, we are a Zoom channel partner. And we adopted Zoom a number of years ago because we adopted it internally first to cut down on meetings. And we've introduced it to our clients right across the hospitality sector, in hotels, meeting rooms, boardrooms, offices and schools across the country. So we were, I guess, best placed when this crisis broke out. We were wondering how we could help our clients because a lot of our clients are suffering badly. So one of the things that Zoom afforded us was the ability to give out and help enable free licensing to all our clients for a period of time. So what I'm here to do today is to demonstrate the potential of Zoom, to show you how to set up Zoom securely, best practice and security. There's been a couple of issues in the press lately, but if it's set up properly and we are there to set it up for you, you won't have any issues around security. And also to help enable you guys to avail of the Zoom offer. So the Zoom offer, in essence, before we get into Zoom, you're all wondering how much is this going to cost us? What are the commercials? What are the financials? What's in it for us? To be honest, Zoom have really come to the table here, and because we're a major partner in Ireland, they have given us really free rein to get everyone out of the hole that we're in. And incredibly, I haven't seen this before, they've offered free licenses for all that sign up with IMS for a period of 6 months. This really affords us all time to get out of the crisis and get through the other side. So with that in mind, what we are offering to do is to set up every school with Zoom, to enable the principals of the schools to give us a champion within each school, and we will talk them through setting up all the teachers and students on Zoom. We'll show you and your staff how to record lessons and send to students through various channels such as Aladdin seems to be a very popular one, and we will show your teachers how to use Zoom to teach live lessons if we get there. So what is Zoom? So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I want to give an overview really of why Zoom is the product of choice for us, certainly. So I'm going to look at some basic uses and features, how to sign up, getting started, how to schedule a meeting, how to run a meeting, and how to share content. And that's pretty much what we're going to cover today. So what is Zoom? Zoom is actually just a meeting tool. Now, the meeting can be a one-to-one meeting. They can be staff meetings. From talking to guys in education, particular uses can be for SEN meetings, board of management meetings, just meetings amongst other principals, committee meetings, parents association meetings. I'm on the parents council of my children's school in Limerick, a secondary school. And we got an email, there was a parents council meeting scheduled for yesterday, and we got an email from the chairperson say, obviously it's been cancelled. And I got on to the chairperson and I said, guys, more than ever, we need to be meeting to discuss what's happening in the school, because we have our kids at home and we see our kids struggling with some applications and coursework and stuff, so more than ever. So we had our first parents council meeting on Zoom last night, which was very successful. And what's happening as a result of that is the board of management meeting for that particular school is happening on Zoom today. And one of the things on the agenda is implementing Zoom across the board. So Zoom really is a meetings tool that comes into its own when you want to meet with people, no matter how many others, online. So you can record meetings, you can set up pre-recorded meetings and send them on by links, and ultimately you can do live teaching over Zoom. That's Zoom meetings. Just to briefly touch on Zoom rooms, you'll see here, you can also have a meeting with people in a boardroom, and that boardroom can be a Zoom room and you can invite others in. So particularly useful when there's absentees from board of management meetings and the like, you can send them links and they can all join in as well. And Zoom webinars is what we're all in at the moment. So you're partaking in a Zoom webinar, which means you can see the panelists and you can see the screen, but you can't see each other. So you're in as attendees and you can ask questions to the Q&A, but we can't hear you and we can't see you. So that's a Zoom webinar, very much suited for the third level education space, where there could be a couple of thousand first years in a university lecture, and it's been delivered over a webinar. So that's what Zoom is. So why use Zoom? So one of the aspects of Zoom that's very interesting to us is how it integrates with other applications. And without going into any detail, we're not trying to replace whatever is working for you to some extent. What Zoom does is it complements. So for example, in the school where my kids are, they're using Teams. They're having difficulty with live audio and video over Teams, but they're not having difficulty with sharing documentation and sharing files and being in groups. So we integrate Zoom into Teams, and it's fully integratable, and we use Teams, the Zoom function within Teams, to have our audio and our video. It's an industry leader for online teaching. The audio and video is what sets it apart from other applications. It's one click to join, as many of you saw probably today as you joined. It requires lower bandwidth, which is very important, because other things like Skype and WebEx require a lot higher bandwidth to stream audio and video, and it's highly supported. Now, we in IMS will be able to support schools directly, but the educational resource and the resource on the website and tutorials and videos is exceptional. So Zoom is top of the charts. It's the #1 app in the App Store, and it's the #1 app in the App Store for a reason. It's easy to use, easy to manage, it's easy to teach, to control, easy for teachers, and in some cases, sadly, easy for pupils because there's no getting away. You can see in the other charts, the other things that are there. Microsoft Teams is very close, Google Classroom, Skype, all these things are integratable with Zoom, and that's why Zoom is top of the charts. So getting started with Zoom is very easy. So if you want a Zoom account, you can download the Zoom client on the Zoom website. Now, for all of you guys in the audience, we will be doing this for you as we set up your schools. We will be emailing you after the webinar with instruction on how to set up each of your schools and to get cracking with this. But for the moment, this is actually how you would download the client onto your desktop or your PC. You go to the Zoom website, you click download, and that's it. And this is what the Zoom client looks like on your PC. When you open the Zoom application, it's very straightforward. It's new meeting, join a meeting. Every meeting has an ID. So you can see that the ID here, I had a meeting, this was from actually last night. I had a meeting, and there's the meeting ID. And you can actually, if you know the meeting ID, just click join an existing meeting. Or you can set your own new meeting straight away, or you can schedule, and scheduling is key, and sharing screen is key. These are the key features. So getting started with your devices then, if it's an iPad or iPhone, Android, tablet, any portable device, you just go to the App Store, you search for Zoom, and then you click get. It comes up as open on mine because I already have it. So you click get, and this is what you see when you open up. So you can join a meeting directly without even having an account, or you can sign up for an account or sign in. And again, we'll be signing everyone up in all the schools with their own accounts. So on your device, when you open it on your device, this is what it looks like. So you can see, again, the new meeting, join, schedule, and share screen are very important. And I've singled them out. I've just brought them across here just to show that how simple Zoom is to use. It knows its strengths, and these are its strengths: to be able to instantly start a meeting, or to schedule a meeting for many participants, to join an existing meeting, and to share your content. And that's the key. But this is, for those of you who are curious, this is what a Zoom app looks like when you open it on a device. So once you have it downloaded, whether it's on your desktop or your PC or laptop or any device, you're up and running. So get Zoom in. You can work anywhere with anyone on any device. You can start or join a video meeting on the go from any device anywhere in the world, and you can share your content from any of your devices to anyone else in the meeting. It is really that simple. So let's look at just a few of the basic features before I hand you over to Aver to hear what he's done with it in his school. Scheduling a meeting is very simple. You go into the schedule key or schedule function in your app, and this window will come up. So you type in, for example, 6th class maths to happen on Thursday at 10 a.m. to last 45 minutes. The host video is by default on, so that will be the teacher's video will be on automatically. You can turn the participants off if you like. So if it's a primary school where you don't want the participants' videos on, you can just turn it off. It's very simple. But by default, it's on. So that's really a choice when you're scheduling your meeting. Always use telephone and computer audio just in case. That's the default. And then calendar by default is Outlook. So what this does is it integrates with whatever calendar that you use for your diary. So when you click schedule, it will bring you into in my case, I'm with Outlook, so an Office 365. So it brings me into my usual meeting window in Outlook. It already has my 6th class maths up here. It has the time, and it has, I'm inviting you to a scheduled meeting. It automatically generates your meeting for you. And this is what the students will see. So when that will go in their calendars, when they accept the invite in their calendars, or it's put into their calendars, they will just click on the link and it will open up. So you put in your required participants. And again, whatever program you're using, whether you're using Aladdin or Flexibuzz or any of those apps or programs, this was fully integratable with that. So you can do all your scheduling through whatever learning management system that you employ in your schools. So starting a meeting then. So I've put the meeting in, and in my home screen, I just click on the meetings and it'll show me all my meetings here. So I have highlighted the 6th class meeting, the maths meeting that's going to happen from 10 o'clock to 10:45. And at that given time, it's in my calendar. I can click in my calendar, or else I can click in here and click start. It's that simple. So I'm on my own in my meeting, I'm waiting for my participants, but this is what happens when you click start. You come up on your video because your video is turned on and you're all on your own and you're waiting for your participants. So you should have your participants join. They'll come in one by one, and this is what you'll see. So this is just a typical meeting, 4 people in the meeting. I can see their names, I can see their videos, and at the moment I can hear them all. The only person I can't see is Shane Dinage in this example. So when you're in the meeting, the very basic features, and this is what every teacher has asked me: can I mute the students? Yes, you can. You can also mute yourself. So you can mute, and you can mute the audio and unmute the audio of all your participants. And after Ava's spoken, I'll go into a little bit more detail on that, but not too much today, but just to show you how you can control a classroom. You can stop or start your video here as well. So they're the first 2 features in a basic meeting. And the other ones I've highlighted just for the moment are share screen, which I think is probably the most important thing when it comes to teaching. And then the record the meeting, that you can actually record your meeting and then send it out. So the Parents' Council meeting last night, for example, we recorded the meeting with everyone's permission. And then those people who couldn't make it for whatever reason, we sent it out as a link so that nobody has missed out on the meeting. It's a video record of minutes rather than the traditional minutes. So at any time then you can choose to end your meeting, of course. So screen sharing. So I guess this really is the thing that sets Zoom apart as well, because basically with screen sharing, you can share anything from your desktop or your laptop or your device. You can share anything from any device. So the most popular things would be PowerPoint presentations for teaching, YouTube clips, and this is important, you can share the audio from the YouTube clip as well, so that you can share any video clip with audio for everyone to see. Word documents, obviously, and then here we have, this is what happens when you click share screen in the meeting. Up will come all the options from your device. So this is my desktop computer. I have two screens, so I can share screen 1 or screen 2. I can share, I have a browser, a Zoom browser open here. I have some folders, I have Microsoft Teams, and I have my Zoom integrated with my Microsoft Teams. I have some other folders here, a PowerPoint presentation, Word document, and a piece of art down here. And importantly, I can just go and directly share a whiteboard, or some people aren't very comfortable with writing on a mouse, with a mouse on a whiteboard. So you can share your iPad and use your iPad as the whiteboard and write with your stylus pen or your Apple pen or whatever you have. So we're going to get into the sharing controls a little bit more detail, but not too much later on. But for the moment, I'm just going to share a couple of things with you to demonstrate. So I'm going to actually stop this presentation, okay? And I'm going to share something else with you. So at the moment, you should just be able to see the panelists. So I'm going to demonstrate how I can share a different PowerPoint presentation with you. One second. I'm going to share a YouTube clip with you. And I'm going to share a whiteboard with you. So just to give you an idea of what's coming up. So I'll run the presentation here and I'll share my screen. This is a little bit of input from our primary schools. So this is the sort of presentation that you can run. You can have pictures on a presentation. You can do, this is a PowerPoint presentation where the teacher would have formulated the lesson and done up these sort of problems on screen that they can talk through, long division obviously here in this case, and they can teach away and be talking through. The kids will hear the audio as the teacher runs through the slides, and that's very important, as demonstrated by you can hear me as I run through this slide. So these are the sort of things you can do. Set up your class in a PowerPoint presentation. You can do things, and you can have the kids working away on problems here. Noah saw 12 legs walk by into the ark. How many creatures could he have seen? Etc., etc. And the kids can also be entering their answers in a chat window as well, and I'll show you that later on. But these are things that you can share. You can share here, and there's a wee audio file here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share an audio piece. It's not too long, so if you bear with us. And it's actually off. It's actually off a YouTube screen that I have up. So 1 second, I bring it up for you. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so everyone should see that now. And I've gone to YouTube, and I'm sure you're all familiar, certainly the primary principals amongst you are all familiar with Jolly Phonics. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that you can hear my audio. So I'm going to make sure that the audio is turned on. And I'm going to play this for you.
You do that one. Go really wiggle. Excellent. That one. For children to be able to read and write, they need to learn their letter sounds.
This one.
Sorry, Leo, you need to share there properly, please.
Sorry, Shane?
Just need to share that out properly. It wasn't sharing, it was just sharing your desktop. So just share out the video itself. Sorry.
No problem, thank you.
You do that one. Go really way. Excellent. That one.
For children to be able to read and write, they need to learn their letter sounds.
Here, this one. Mixed vegetable van.
Children are introduced to the 42 letter sounds in Jolly Phonics in a fun and engaging way, using stories and actions for each of the letter sounds.
What was the action?
The letter sounds are introduced to children at a fast pace. These include the alphabet sounds, as well as diagraphs where 2 letters represent 1 sound.
Brilliant.
So guys, you can see from that demonstration, you can share YouTube clips, you can share PowerPoint presentations, you can share whatever content you want. And if you want also, then you can share a whiteboard. So on a whiteboard, this gives you basically anything you want to write. You can share here and you can drop text. This is a test. And you can insert anything on your whiteboard and treat it as a whiteboard. And as I said earlier, you can share your iPad if you're uncomfortable working with the mouse. So guys, what I'm going to do for the moment now, we're going to park it there for the moment. And I'm going to hand you over to Aver. Aver is going to talk you through his experience as a primary school principal with Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, Gurma got Leo. Di Vahoirda, August Tasu, Gumgawil Gakrod Gamaliv, and Trinona Shaw. As the Leo and Terry have said, I'm principal of Unvoskol here in Limerick City. We have a staff of over 35 teachers, ranging in experience from 2 years teaching to almost 40. I'm in my 2nd year as principal in the school, and like every other school in the country at the moment, we're struggling with lots of elements of distance learning. I used Zoom for the first time 3 weeks ago. I'm not an expert by any means on it, but I'm learning. We're a Google school, so we recently started integrating G Suite with Aladdin and Apple devices in our school. So we're working off Google email, docs, calendar, slides, and we've just half started on Google Classroom. We're currently using Aladdin. That's our main platform, using the Aladdin app as well. We send work home each week on Aladdin, and we have created class email addresses for pupils so they can submit their homework to a school Obervalia email address, and that's their way of getting feedback from teachers. It's difficult at the moment to find out how many pupils are engaging, but based on email replies and oral feedback, we're estimating maybe we have 40 to 60% engagement, but like I say, it's hard to gauge it, I suppose, at the moment. I'm very lucky that I have a large staff, I suppose, and we've a wide range of abilities and interests on the staff. So I asked the STEM team to look at all the various platforms and software that's out there at the moment, and to come back to me, I suppose, with a recommendation as to how we can best communicate with our staff, pupils and parents if this does turn out to be a 2 or 3 month break from school. So they looked at Aladdin, email, Google Classroom, Zoom, Dojo, Seesaw, Study Ladder, Padlet, Edmodo, our school website, Facebook. We looked at all the various platforms, but we were looking for something that would complement what we're already doing via Aladdin and G Suite, because that's our foundation, if you like. Aladdin is what gives us the consistency of delivery across the school, but we also wanted an add-on, something that we could complement what we're already doing, but something that would offer us something extra to allow us to be able to collaborate as a staff, probably meet as a staff, and probably even teach online going forward. We started out using Google Meet for staff meetings and then tried Zoom. And when we compared the two, we found Zoom just worked better for some of our teachers living out the country, like I do myself with poor enough Wi-Fi. Zoom just offered much more functionality and better features. We also felt, I suppose, that Zoom offered us the opportunity to collaborate more and to record audios and to record videos like Leo has demonstrated there, and to share slides, to record lessons, or even to facilitate live lessons going forward. So that's where our rationale, I suppose, for having chosen Zoom. Since starting on Zoom as a staff over 10 days ago, we've had post holders meetings, policy meetings, staff and class group meetings in small groups of 4 to 5 teachers. I started out with a meeting of our middle management team of 7 or 8 teachers. 4 of the teachers have been teaching for over 30 years, and some of them are not very comfortable, I suppose, with ICT. All of them successfully managed to log into the meeting without any problems, and they all contributed. So that gave me, I suppose, great success and or confidence to roll it out across the staff. The key for why it works for us, I suppose, is that our teachers are pro account users on Zoom, and that allows them to be able to work collaboratively and bring everybody with us on this journey. They're now able to host their own collaborative meetings in their class groups, and they're starting to get familiar and comfortable with it. This week on Zoom, some of our teachers are collaboratively hosting their own meeting, like Leo showed there. But at some point, they're going to record as part of that meeting, and they're all going to send a little happy Easter message to all the kids in their class, and they're going to share a few PowerPoint slides of a few activities or a project or two that they're going to, I suppose, give the kids to work on over the Easter holidays. But they're going to record it using Zoom, and then they're just going to send the link of that recording out to our parents in that class via Aladdin. We're going to use Zoom, I suppose, going forward if we need to be able to teach content after Easter. If it's a thing that this turns into a long break and we don't get back to school in term 3, Zoom has the capability to be able to support us in terms of recording lessons or doing live lessons. We're going to start with just videos, little mini lessons or videos from the teachers explaining what the tasks or the work is, and sending the link out through Aladdin. If we need to be able to if we need to have to cover new content, we can share that link in Aladdin, and pupils then will submit their work as they currently do through email. We envisage we may possibly have to go down the road of doing live lessons if needed in the next few weeks, but that depends, I suppose, on where this COVID virus goes and what direction we go with it and how quickly we can flatten the curve. But ultimately, Zoom gives us all that functionality that we need. So I suppose, to wrap it up, I suppose the key benefits and the must-dos, as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective as a principal, Zoom has offered us huge benefits in terms of adding to our email as our system of communication with the staff in the school. It's a great way to communicate and to collaborate, and for me as a principal, it's a great way to bring all the staff with me on this journey, because I can meet them in small groups and as a whole staff. I can check in weekly on my staff and I can support them together. I can deal with any concerns that they have verbally as they arrive, so they're not carrying any worries or stresses. I can also share content, but it also allows me to be able to deliver the same message to all the staff consistently across the board. And I can also watch out for my staff's well-being, I suppose, and make sure they're not overwhelmed with all of this. It also gives us the opportunity to be able to have full staff meetings, which we may have to do in term 3. Like I say, if this turns out to be an extended school closure, we're going to have to be able to meet as a staff in term 3 to make decisions. And also it allows us obviously to record little lessons and possibly even teach live if we want to use that functionality. My advice would be to take baby steps with it, like we have done. I get your IT savvy teachers on board, as Leo said, as the champions first. Get them as pro account users on Zoom, like Leo is suggesting there, and they will lead this out for you. Reach out for help if you need it, but start out by getting teachers working in small groups on Zoom. After a while, they get comfortable on it, and we'll just see where the journey takes us, I guess.
So guys, we're just launching another poll there at the moment. Thank you very much, Ava. The poll is basically, we're going to just ask a couple of questions and we can share our results just to show you the power of what you can do here with Zoom. So just at various times, we're just popping these polls out. Do put in your questions and answers, or put in questions in the questions and answers, because we're going to have a section at the end for that. And also, you know, if anybody wants to speak from the audience, there is a little raise hand button, and we can bring the microphone. And you know, if you want to post a question, there's a lot of very experienced people in the audience. It'd be great to hear from you.
Great stuff. Thanks, Shane. So I can see there already the results of the last poll. You're able to work from home at the moment. 33% yes, fully, 67% somewhat, and 0 at no or none at all. Great stuff. Thanks, Shane. So I'm just going to carry on from Aver's contribution there. Thank you very much, Aver. Most useful, and Aver's helped certainly with the input from a teaching perspective into some of the content I'm showing you today as well. So I'm just going to bring you into a little bit more depth, but not too much, on Zoom as a teaching tool, just to give you a further look at how you can use it. I guess there's been mixed messages coming along about security and things like that, and we want to allay your fears that Zoom is fully secure, and the way you set up meetings will be fully secure and will be fully GDPR compliant as well. So Zoom as a teaching tool, the teacher really has the control, just like in a meeting. So if you consider a meeting like this as a classroom, you'll see from this screen here that there's multiple participants in here. I'm in gallery view at the moment, so I can see pretty much everyone that's on the call or in the meeting, and you can see here that the red line across is that each student is muted, and then some of them are unmuted. So the teacher has full control of this. And in this particular case, all videos are on. That can also be all videos off as well. So I'm going to show you how that happens. So setting up a meeting really is like setting up a classroom, that you have controls that you can actually allow students in or not allow them into a meeting. What's called a waiting room. You can have additional things like muting participants on entry automatically, so that they don't come in with the dog barking and all at the same time. So everyone that comes in is automatically muted. Then you can decide whether you want to allow the participants to unmute themselves, or will you just take complete control of that. You can also, as you can see, my name is down in the bottom corner. Leo Colgan, but you can also allow or not allow participants to rename themselves. So depending on what device they're in, as someone logged into a meeting recently as Xperia X37 or something like that, I was able to rename them, but they logged in as their device rather than themselves. So things like that, and then you can put participants in the waiting room on entry, and then you can lock down a meeting as well, so nobody can get in or out. So I'm sure there was a lot of social media reaction to Boris Johnson sharing his cabinet meeting that took place over Zoom with the meeting ID up in the corner. You can be rest assured that that meeting was fully secure and nobody was able to join or hack into that, despite what Boris shared. So the additional features that are suited for teachers are really around managing the participants, audio video controls, and sharing controls. So this is an example of, I'm in a meeting here where I'm managing the participants, and I've set up a waiting room, so that the idea behind this is that if you have a presentation ready to go to a class, you don't want them coming in dribs and drabs. Let them join and let them sit in the waiting room, and when everyone's ready, you just admit them. And then that way it's easier to control them all coming in at the one time. So in this example, Patrick is waiting for me to admit him, and I click on admit, and Patrick comes into the room. So here's an example of the waiting room in full use. So I have 4 participants in the meeting, and on the right hand side I have participants, and you get this participants window by clicking on participants at the bottom of your screen in the meeting. So it shows me that I have 2 people waiting to come in and 4 people already in. So it's very handy, and it also means that if you don't recognize someone, you don't have to admit them as well. You can also put someone back into the waiting room should you need to, for whatever reason. So that's when you're setting up the meeting. The audio controls, once you're in a meeting, then very important, and it's the question I get asked the most by teachers: can I mute everyone? I don't know if anyone saw that foil arms and hogs sketch that's gone viral about students being on a remote class, but certainly this means that will never happen. You can mute all and you can unmute all, and in this case here you can see that I'm the host, I'm the teacher, and I have everyone by default muted. And I have some people actually on video and some people off video as well, so you can have a mixture. In the second scenario here, I have everybody unmuted. And then in the third scenario, I have a mixture of some muted and some unmuted. So you have full control over who talks and who doesn't. You also, as I said in the previous slide, have full control on whether you can let the students unmute themselves or not. So that's some of the audio controls. Some of the video controls then is, depending on the school, if it's primary school, you might want a situation where it's automatic that the video is not on of all the participants. So as they enter, they're by default no video on at all. And then you can turn them on by in here by asking to start. You can have them off, or you can ask the students who, if you want to see them, to start the video. So in this case, in this example, in my meeting, Shane Dinage, I can't see him and I'd like to be able to see him. So I've right-clicked on his name down here and I've asked him to start the video. And here it says, this is the message he gets, start my video. So there's some of the video controls you can have, but you can turn off all videos if that's a concern. There's also a chat function where you can have a situation where you can actually chat to an individual student or to everyone in the classroom. So in this case, in this meeting, I've selected Shane Dinage here. Poor Shane's getting it all. And I've sent him a message. Okay, I've sent him some messages and it comes up as privately. So that means nobody in the class can see what I'm saying to Shane. Very useful. The teacher, as the host, controls the chat. The teacher can change the permissions of all so that they can only talk to the host or the teacher and they can't talk to each other. So that's very important. But this is a good place for Q&A as well for in the class. If you want everyone muted and you don't want people to be talking, they can ask questions in here. It's also a good place to give one-to-one instruction. And the chat control is very important. Participant can chat with host only. And then you can actually, depending on the group, you can open the pipes here and let everyone talk publicly and privately, and it becomes a real group chat. So again, they're all under the control of the host or the teacher in the lesson. So this is a typical meeting where we have some people on video, some people off video. Everyone is muted, as you can see. And then in the right-hand side, I can see the participants, the list of participants, and I can see the chat going on. So this is a typical. We have one joker here who's put up a bit of a background, and you can sometimes you can turn off those people's videos if you need to. Everyone can actually add a virtual background, so you can have the Golden Gate Bridge behind you if you want. One particular client of ours who was in the construction industry is a real Zoom adopter. He puts up Crow Park behind him every time he attends a meeting. So in the meeting then, you can make yourself as the teacher the center focus so that you have a gallery view like this up above and the kids in the main window. It just means if you do have videos on that, they're not all looking at each other and making faces, that really all they can see is the main video. So in terms of sharing then, I guess this is very important and I'm going to finish out on the sharing piece. Sharing is where you're going to be, if you're going to be delivering live lessons or even delivering lessons that are going to be recorded and sent out. It's important that you have the sharing feature done correctly. And this is key when you're in with the group, that only one participant can share at a time. Or you can suggest that multiple participants can share simultaneously if you want 4 students to put up their work. This is where you will come to do it. Also, under the advanced sharing options, then you can limit to only the host being able to share, only the teacher, or all participants. So they're very important. So again, Zoom really comes into its own with the sharing features. The teacher controls the sharing, or the host controls the sharing. They can change the permissions of all or individually. Person sharing can share any content, and then of course your whiteboard and your iPad. So just to reiterate what we're actually, what IMS are here to offer to you guys today is Zoom have extended free licensing, and what we mean by licenses is fully professional Zoom licenses. Fully professional Zoom licenses allow you to record your lessons to the cloud. They allow all the features that I've shown you and more, but most importantly as well, that they allow you go beyond. There's a free license, it's called a basic user, that is limited to 40 minutes. The pro license has no limits and can have up to 100 participants in a live meeting. So what we're willing to do is to enable all you guys. We'll set up Zoom, set up every school with Zoom, every school on the call here, and we're offering this nationwide as well. We'll show you. We have a team of guys here that will show you and your staff. As Ava said, a champion within the school. And a champion, we can set up your account to add users very quickly and to assign all their teaching staff pro user accounts very quickly. And then how to integrate that, whether you're using Teams or Aladdin or whatever else you're using, and use it to its full extent. And we will show your teachers how to use Zoom to teach live lessons if it comes to that. So guys, I hope I haven't gone on too long, and that everything I went through is clear, but we now have a Q&A session. I know that Shane has been fielding questions throughout the webinar, and we might go through those now. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you type your question in the Q&A, I'm going to hand you over to Shane, who has been looking at all those questions, and we might run through some of the questions that were asked and the answers. And in the meantime, while Shane's doing that, you might send in some more questions and we'll try our best to answer them. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining into the webinar, and it's been great fun preparing this. Super excited to have you in the audience. So we've been using Zoom for quite a while, and it's you know, absolutely an amazing product. We've had people that are very new to technology literally get to grips with this within a couple of minutes. I'm just launching some polls in the background just to kind of get you know, just a flavor of the various different people and the skill sets that are within the audience. Some of the questions that have come in are really good. I've been answering them in the background as best I can, while you know, and as quickly as I can. We've a really good question actually from Michael Queely, who he's asking about, I've currently held a number of Zoom meetings this week and find it very good. I'm currently recording a video message for students and parents. And by the way, so he's asking about sending out the recordings via Aladdin. Now, you know, a recording of video can be quite big. So when you record a meeting or record a class, the file size can get to be quite big. When you're using a pro license, you can actually record everything into the cloud. Now, in that way, you share the video recording via a link. So the link actually is no size at all. It's only a few kilobits in size. So you paste the link into Aladdin, and then the students will get it. They click that link, and it will, you know, they'll be able to watch the various the video. So I mean, I don't know if that's hopefully answered your question, Michael. I've also, there was another question in to explain about the waiting rooms, right? Waiting rooms are basically an area where if you are think of it as the hallway outside outside of the classroom, students can come there, and then it's up to the teacher, and the teacher has control over this to admit them into the classroom. Now, if you are, they can be admitted automatically, or if you're expecting someone and you don't want them to jump into the class, but they're coming into a meeting, say for example a guest speaker or somebody that's coming to meet the class, they can wait in the waiting room, and the teacher will see that. You know, and then they can select it and basically admit them into the room. So that's it's a great security feature, and it's a really useful tool to have, is the waiting room. And this is the sort of guidance that we'll be able to do with teachers through the professional development around Zoom, which we're hoping to follow up on after this webinar, just giving you a flavor of the things that you can do today.
Shane, can I get across you there if you don't mind?
Absolutely.
We have a few raised hands there. Can you see that from your side? I see there the director of the Clare Education Centre raised his hand. He may want to speak.
Absolutely.
Can you check that and just bring those participants forward to talk? And I suppose that shows the other participants the facility of actually doing that as well.
Okay, I see Donica. I think he might be in the audience there. I didn't see his hand raised, but should we bring him up on stage?
Ray McInerney.
Ray McInerney. Sorry, okay, Ray McInerney. Sorry, Donica's
shut up on my screen.
Donica's having a heart attack there. We asked her. So Ray McInerney. I just actually I've got Ray there. So Ray, you're live there. You know, we should be able to hear you. So fire away. I think we've got Ray, have we? Can you hear us, Ray? I think you should be able to. We should be able to hear you, Ray, if you just speak there. No. Okay, I'm actually. Let me just. Okay, we'll come back to Ray there in a second. I'll actually, but I'm not sure if the microphone might have been muted on your side. We did unmute you there, Ray, so maybe there was a technical issue on that. So I'll come back to you in 2 seconds. Actually, I'll when you're ready, Ray, I've actually just lowered the hand there, and when you're ready, just raise the hand again, and we'll come back to you on the microphone. I was just asking, there was a question there. I think we've got I'd like to set up a pro account in order to deliver to the Education Centre as a visiting lecturer. This is actually Ray asking the question here. Can I install this to avail of the free 6-month that you're now offering? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're trying to do here is to get everybody into a single system here where we can develop the system together and effectively through continuous staff or continued professional development, do it right and set it up right and bring everybody along on this journey together. So I hopefully, and so to answer your question, yes, you can delay that if you wish and avail of this situation, and then you know go from that position. So let's see what.
Shane, would you be able to bring forward there principal from Kerry, the Tralee Educate Together School, Mary Bronson? Can you see her there? She said she would like to, her school is using it and would like to say a few words on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually Mary, you're on the thing. I'm going to just actually unmute you there now, Mary. So actually should be able to hear us there, Mary. Actually, Mary's maybe your microphone is muted, Mary. There we go.
Can you hear me now, Shane?
Yes, absolutely, Mary. Sorry, we can hear you fine.
Hi.
Well done.
Great. Hi, gentlemen.
Hi, Mary.
How are you all? Yes, my experience with it is I will say much less than what Ava is doing. Hi, Ava, you're very impressive there, I have to say.
Thanks, Mary.
And congratulations on that post. I didn't realize you were principal of such a big school now.
That's where I disappeared to.
We missed you. We miss you from PDST. Anyway, I suppose I did a solo run really with it myself the second week of the closure, and I'm a teaching principal, so I'm part of the SEN team, and I teach on it live 3 hours a day now at the moment for the last 2 weeks, and I have to say it's working a treat. It's brilliant, and the feedback from parents and kids is very, very positive. And I suppose for somebody like me, I'm at the very wrong end of 55 and a lot more now. So, you know, I wouldn't be that great with technology. So the simplicity of it has been very, you know, attractive to me. And it was so simple to set it up and so on. And the engagement with the children is really great. I meet them face to face every day. And I suppose that's one of the biggest losses to children at the moment is that engagement with classmates and teachers. So this tool really provides that. And I know there are lots of other, you know, competitors out there, but I suppose the simplicity of Zoom again is what makes it attractive. Yeah, so positive experience.
Thanks, Mary, for that. Shane, I see Ray has raised the hand again. You might try Ray in there. Might get
No problem. No problem. As I say, there's some incredible use cases out there where I was talking to somebody earlier on today that I was a local principal that wanted to do hurling training and skills training over Zoom. There's so many amazing examples that are out there. And I'm sure everybody is only discovering some of the uses that are out there. I'm just going to actually going to Ray, to bring Ray is up there now at the moment. Ray should be able to hear you there. Ray, can you hear us? No, I think we're having a technical issue with Ray. So it's just well, Ray, you just keep working there. See if you can. You're unmuted. You're up on live. But I'm going to keep going with some other questions while we're getting sorted out. Elizabeth Lane is asking, do you need to have an Aladdin Connect or Google Classroom to send videos? We're just communicating with families through email. If you're using Aladdin Connect or Google Classroom or anything, or whatever application you're using, be it email or anything, you can, with a Zoom recording, you can actually send them the link, and then they can open the link. There was another question earlier about the security and the GDPR security around the recordings. We can also set passwords on the recordings, and that they have to be registered users before they can view them. So again, that opens up another discussion, which we can cover under the professional development side of things, but it is possible to set passwords on the video recording. So hopefully that, Elaine, has answered your questions, that you can use email and you can send a link. I don't know, Ava, do you have any particular use cases that you've been finding very successful in the school, or you've been using yourself?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, from my perspective as principal, and from what I understand, there might be a lot of principals on this forum today, but for me, it has been fantastic just to be able to manage the school for the last couple of days and the last 10 days that we're on it, to be honest. Like I said, we had a middle management meeting, and we've had class meetings with all the various class teachers. And it's just been absolutely fantastic. It's been liberating, to be honest, because the teachers themselves now feel part of a team. It's actually, Zoom has, if you like, facilitated or enabled even more collaboration amongst my staff than what we had beforehand, because now they're actually enjoying the novelty of coming online into meetings and collaborating together and sharing ideas and putting the pupils first in terms of any work that we send home through Aladdin. So it's just facilitated even further and even more collaboration than we already had going on in the school. And it's, yeah, I suppose at the start, it's a little bit of a novelty as well. Like Mary said there, for some teachers or for a certain generation, technology is a little bit scary, but after they get used to it and realize how easy it is, they just start to grow in confidence and they want more and more, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, this is a situation where nobody wanted, none of us wanted to be in this place where we are today, where we've been having to kind of almost overnight having to convert our daily routine into an online video sessions and online video, remote video. So it's a confusing space, and amongst the other stresses that are out there. So I just actually pushed out another poll about asking about the greatest challenges from working from home, or which, you know, is again, challenges out there, but one of the nice things about Zoom is that Zoom uses a very little amount of data traffic. So for people that have got slower internet connections, that are suffering from, you know, bad broadband, and everybody in Ireland nobody can kind of, you know, there's a lot, everyone has a bad broadband story. You know, these are Zoom works exceptionally well in environments where the bandwidth isn't there and the speeds are slower. So that's something, again, it lends itself to that. And we can see there that I just share out the results of that, 49% maintaining a work-life balance at home, and 35% pure IT communication systems and procedures. So the top two reasons, you know, for challenges from working from home. So yeah, I don't know, Terry, have you any particular examples where, you know, that you've come across in your situation?
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, it's relatively very new to us all. Like Eber said there, this is only going the last two weeks. I suppose where I've used it personally myself, we conducted a management meeting, finance meeting actually yesterday with the Education Centre, and it worked really well. So my advice, and not being an expert on it, would be to take very, very small steps from today's webinar. Go away and explore the whole idea of potentially having a staff meeting, or potentially having a meeting with 2 or 3 of your teachers, your SEN team, your leadership and management team, before you ever think about teaching. Okay, teaching, I suppose, is at the far end with it, and we can see the capabilities of it. But the starting point, without a doubt, is to familiarize yourself with the application, the settings on it, and play around with it with your staff. And once you get comfortable with that, then I suppose every school, as I said initially, you all have your own individual contexts. So this might be for your school, it may not be for your school. But you need to explore that with your staff. And it's not for me to say, or for you to say, I suppose, either Shane, to an individual school that, yeah, Zoom is for your school. Schools have to make their own individual decisions based on their own individual needs. They know their staff, they know their pupils, they know the context, the infrastructure. If it's a rural school in West Kerry, maybe different to an urban school in Limerick, the broadband mightn't be as strong. You know, so, and I suppose you have the issue then of, I suppose, devices at home and things like that. So schools need to explore all that. But look, all obstacles, I'm a firm believer that all obstacles can be overcome if there's a will. So there's no doubt this is a fantastic tool, and it will definitely be used by ourselves in the Education Centre to communicate with management, and probably to communicate with teachers in the coming weeks in putting on CPD for teachers. So what I've seen so far in my very limited usage of it, I would definitely have to say that it's a very, very useful tool.
I think Ivor wants to come in there on something.
Yeah, there's just a few questions after coming in there since we finished. I see Donncha has asked a question there, Donncha O'Trassig, and maybe Leo might come in and answer that. But I'm just going to answer 2 questions really quickly. One there from Nora Falvey: did I survey parents before using Zoom about access to laptops and so on? We didn't survey parents, to be honest, Nora, because the advantage with Zoom is that, you know, we're very conscious of the fact that we might have 2 or 3 pupils in the house and maybe 2 parents working from home and maybe only 2 devices. The beauty of Zoom is that if pupils can't log into a live lesson, well then by sending the recording, they can see the full 20-minute lesson or the 5-minute video clip at a time that suits them. They don't necessarily have to view the clip live. So I suppose in answer to your question, we haven't surveyed the parents because, you know, it doesn't really matter what time they access the link if we send the link out via Aladdin from the cloud, as Shane already said. The other question there I saw was that Martin asked a question about, do parents have to have Zoom downloaded as an app? No, they don't, Martin. You just send the link home via Aladdin and they're viewing it from the cloud, and it will come up on their devices or on their laptops under whatever program that the device will play it on, you know.
Yeah, we've also, I think we've got Ray on now. Can we, Ray, are you able to hear us? No, his definitely microphone is engaged. Maybe it's the local mute button or something. No, that's fine. I was what I wanted to. Sorry, Leo.
The question there from Donncha. Thanks, Donncha. You actually gave it to Shane there, but have you thought about speaking to the ICT policy unit in the Department of Education and Skills to ascertain if it would pay for Zoom for all schools? I guess, Donncha, to answer your question, we haven't approached the ICT policy unit as such yet. What we wanted to do, we wanted to come across, first of all, to ensure people that there isn't any payment required at this point, so that this really is to help schools get out of a hole. to be honest, we would like to engage with the department then after 6 months for sure, and to make sure. I do think that Zoom has a role to play post the apocalypse, if you like, and definitely Zoom can be taken on by the management of all schools as they play around with it and use it in live classes over the next few months. So to answer your question, no, we haven't as of yet, but what our intention is to speak with them. But our immediate intention is to get everyone, certainly on this webinar, and all their schools up into using Zoom, and to make it as easy as possible for everyone to do it. And then we can carry out those negotiations in the background.
Could I ask, could you bring Martin Maloney forward there? Yeah, he's his hand raised as well.
Yeah, we're just I've Martin. Sorry, I've David McKagan just at the moment. He was. We'll bring in Martin just after that. So go ahead, David. There, you have a question that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, it's not so much a question, Shane. It's just a comment to make. I'm speaking on behalf of Monaghan Education Centre, and Eva mentioned already the potential for teacher collaboration. And in the current climate and the environment which we find ourselves in, the need to touch base with other teachers and find out what they're doing and see what they're doing, and those conversations will be really, really rich. So I think it's the potential to use this mechanism to do that, you know, across our schools and across our sectors is very encouraging. And I encourage all teachers and schools, like Terry said there, to explore it, to delve into it. You know, we've had a little bit of experience of it this week, and it's proven really fruitful. And it's through those initial steps that we've taken that we've been encouraged by it. So, you know, reach out to other teachers, organize your calls, and through the sharing platforms that are involved in it, then that can really enhance your own teaching and learning over the next possibly 3-4 weeks or further along the line. So look at it, it's a very encouraging platform, and the potential is great even beyond the current crisis. That collaboration, that cross-sectoral communications can be really, really rich. So thanks, guys.
David, thanks so
Thanks,
much.
David.
That was really good. Yeah, so sorry, we were going to bring in Martin, is that right?
Martin Maloney, yes.
Yeah, so Martin is up. I'd say you can just unmute your mic there, Martin.
Yeah, I'd just like to give my own, I suppose, side of using Zoom. I would have used it last year for the first time. Our school would be twinned with a number of schools in the States. So we would have used Zoom as a means of communication there. And I suppose in the current crisis, I was late joining today's session because I was hosting a Zoom meeting for 14 principals in the Ennis area, just so we could adapt a coordinated approach. We would use Zoom on a weekly basis. Already this week, I've used Zoom for a board of management meeting, and we have twice weekly leadership and management meetings in the school via Zoom. Our next one scheduled for 1:30 tomorrow. I think, Leo, you said there Zoom has a role to play. I would wholeheartedly agree with that, not alone in supporting schools themselves, but supporting huge communication between schools and cooperation in various areas. I had started setting up support groups for teachers in my own school and 2 other local schools for teachers experiencing difficulty with kids with behavioural needs. This now will take place through Zoom. So it negates the need for me to be releasing teachers from the school during the day to visit other schools. So the potential that is there is absolutely huge for schools, and I think it should be embraced by the Department of Education on a national level and be adopted for use in schools.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I have a question there came in from Beverly Hartigan, actually, and Beverly is asking, I've been using Teams to teach class groups. A smaller group of 4 in one of my class groups have managed to hold their own sub-meeting while the class is in progress. Can this happen in Zoom? That's a really good question, Bev. You can have breakout rooms. So again, what you can do is you can have your 20 students in a group, and you can divide them up into breakout rooms, and then as the teacher move between the various groups and see how they're getting on, and then issue a notice to close the meeting or to close these breakout groups and recall them all back into the main group, you know, to give their summary or to give their, you know, their findings. So again, that's a fantastic use of Zoom. We're going to cover a lot of this stuff. This webinar is really just an introduction, but we're going to get down into some of the more specific things that you do, but it's super small steps right now, getting everybody into meetings, get people licensed up, and you know, people doing the steps. I mean, Ivor, you mentioned a couple of 4-step process that you're doing at the moment in your school. Do you want to just kind of outline your plan and how that's working out?
Yeah, I suppose we like you said, we took baby steps. The very first thing I tried to do was, like Martin said there, have a leadership and management meeting, or an in-school management meeting. That was step number 1, a very basic meeting. See, could we conduct that? The second step then was to get a few of the champions within my school as pro accounts, so they could start collaborating and creating their own videos and pulling the teachers in their own class groups together to collaborate. Step 3 is what we're trying this week, which is doing the recorded lessons, sending home happy Easter messages to the kids. Somebody mentioned there a few minutes ago that piece about actually showing the kids our faces. I think it was Mary mentioned it. That's absolutely invaluable. So the kids, especially the younger kids, have a lot of feedback got from parents that the kids just want to see the teachers' faces, literally wondering where the teachers are or why they have disappeared off the face of the earth. So that's where Zoom it really comes into its own. So that's step 3 is recorded lessons or recorded messages that we're sending home. And step 4, then slowly and gently we'll move towards the whole live lesson piece, where we can have all that interaction and where pupils can talk to their teachers and voice their concerns, their frustrations, or just questions about general work that they're doing in school. So yeah, it's a 4-step process, and it depends, like Terry said at the very start today, it's all about context here. It's where you're at as a school. I've learned a lot about my school and where we're at in terms of ICT over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and one of the things I do know is that the broadband and the type of broadband that we're bringing into our school and the Wi-Fi pods in our classrooms are not good enough at all to support ICT and the digital plan that we have for our school. So thanks to the guys in IMS, I'm going to get that sorted out once we're allowed back into the building. But for now, it's just using Zoom in that 4-step process and gradually building it, but bringing every teacher with me along the road. That's the key piece, you know.
Jane, would you mind calling, and I'm putting him on the spot there now, he's a member of my own management committee at the Education Centre, but Noel Keenan, and he's Vice President of the National Parents Council for Post-Primary, and he might share his views on Zoom or the possibilities for it with the general parent body. That's Noel Keenan. Yeah,
we've Noel up on the screen. You can just unmute there, Noel, on your Zoom. If you can, I know you're logged in twice, so I brought you in. I'd say you have a second application, so 1 second.
I was trying it on the computer and the phone just to see the versatility of it. Okay.
No, that's good. It's actually the reason for probably why we didn't hear Ray, because I could see Ray also has 2 or 3, so maybe that's something for Ray that we get. I brought the wrong device up onto the screen, so my fault anyway. So sorry, Noel, carry on there.
Okay, I've left the meeting on the computer. I see great potential for this. We had a meeting yesterday with Terry and other members of the Management Finance Committee of the Education Centre. I think it would be a marvellous tool to assist young people who are ill. They could still be at home in their bed, tucked in and looked after by mum and dad, and yet they could still see what's happening in the classroom. They would still be part of the classroom and would continue learning, which is one potential. I'm quite involved with encountering students who are suspended from schools at the moment as a member of Kerry ETB, Section 29 people, and you feel they've been sent home, but where are they going to go? So they could have a facility to log into a classroom like this. It would be a marvellous facility for them. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and thank you so much, Noel, for that. I was just, there's loads of questions coming in. We have over 25 questions in the queue here. I'm just going down through some of the list here. I'm using Teams. This is Owen Hayes. If I record myself annotating a poem or a piece of writing, is it possible then to upload it so parents can watch the video? Absolutely. You know, if you just run up run up Zoom, create a meeting, hit the record, and you'll be able to. You can save that with the licensed version of Zoom into the cloud and then send the link for parents to watch. So you're not, again, sending that massive file over the, which you would have if you just recorded to your local computer. So hopefully, Owen, that that answered your question. There's another thing too, is I know that, particularly on the secondary school side of things, that some people are using Teams. Zoom completely integrates with Teams. So when you're scheduling meetings and you're having running your environment in Teams, and we're not talking about throwing out the baby in the bathwater here. Keep going with Teams, keep going with Google, keep going with these things. Zoom can bolt on, and Zoom delivers amazing video control, or of course go solo with Zoom. So there is plenty of scope there to Zoom enhances the environment. So this is an important thing. We're not here to sort of say, well, it's Zoom or Teams or Meet or whatever. These can be bolted in. So you can install a little Zoom bot into Teams, and then when somebody wants to schedule a meeting in Teams, they can just click the button in Teams. They don't have to leave it, and it'll schedule up a meeting and set up the meeting for the rest of the class that are using Teams. So actually, I've just just brings me into a little poll that I wanted to ask you guys about Google Classroom, Zoom, Seesaw, Microsoft Teams, or other software that you're using. What is your plan going forward? And as I say, this isn't about Zoom is the only show in town. Far from it. Zoom doesn't do a lot of the things that you can do in other applications, but what it does do really well is large scale video, and it looks after video, and it's super easy to use, and that's really the key part around Zoom. And as Leo's presentation showed, Zoom is now the #1 app that is in the App Store, in the Apple App Store. So it's got there for a reason, because it's so user friendly. But just remember, it needs a little bit of training, 10 or 15 minutes. Just get the guidance and to know how to avoid the pitfalls, and that shortens the curve, really. So I'll actually publish those results there. It was really interesting. 7% in the Google Classroom, 32% are planning to use Zoom, Seesaw 25, Microsoft Teams 9, and other software, and then not sure 28. So quite a few people sitting on the fence in terms of what to do next. The main thing here is try Zoom out, play around with it. We're going to push out follow-up emails to everybody about how they can get licensed, and how we're going to kick off with the first professional development courses, and try to get people into this and using it. But don't be afraid, load it, play around with it, and I know many of you guys are doing that. I don't know, Terry, there's loads more questions coming in. I don't know whether you want to take one of these. Let's see, we've got, let's have a look here. Okay.
There's a question there, Shane, about some teachers are afraid to show the kitchen in their house in the background. Somebody asked there, how do you show that lovely background that you have there, even though it's all very virtual, so teachers don't have to show their kitchen?
It's a good question, Ivor. I mean, look, I'm using a green screen. There's a cheap way to do this, guys. Just go out and get a green piece of cloth. Basically, you don't have to spend a fortune. There's no high tech involved. Let me just very briefly shut off my virtual background. As you can see, it's a very boring green panel, but in a moment I can be transported to the beach, where I would much prefer to be. I'm joking. And chilling out here. So it's a great idea. All you do is just get a string, put it across behind your chair, throw a green sheet over it, and tell Zoom that you've got a green screen, and you can insert any picture you like. And it's great it raises the professional bar. It makes it look, it obviously, if the husband or the wife walks behind in the dressing gown, it's not going to, or students commenting of, what plant is that, miss, on your table behind, or whatever. All of those things hidden, that you would not know where I was. I've got that, and it's a lovely it's a feature within Zoom. So yeah, that's
quick question there from a principal, post-primary principal in Causeway. The pro licenses, are they covering all the teachers in his school, or just him? He's registered today as the principal. So are we setting up the schools, all the teachers in the schools with pro licenses, or just the principals?
Well, you know, with pro licensing, you have the ability to record, and you have the ability to, you're obviously you're beyond the 45 or the 40-minute limit on the meetings. Now, I know that during the COVID situation, that the basic licenses, if you apply through Zoom to Zoom, they will lift the 40-minute license restriction. However, that is a temporary situation. They will revert at some stage in the future. I think the scene has changed now fundamentally, the way our day to day. But to answer your question, Terry, I would recommend that all the teachers within the organisation of a school should be set as pro. The students themselves can be free basic users. So that's the ideal situation, you know, and to do this properly. And obviously the idea here is by grouping everything under a master account, we can get those license levels up by pulling together and effectively then drive the price down per license. I know that there are products that are free out there, such as Google, you know, is a free product. But it is not as easy to use. It isn't as so, you know, there are you know, there are limitations as well within those products. Zoom is a really good all-rounder, but as I say, coming together under this effort that we're doing right now to bring everybody under, you know, that and through a 6-month process, get everybody into the same zone, then we take it forward and decide, well, how many, you know, the final license block or the final license application. So that's
okay. So I suppose just to clarify that. So, for example, today that school, if they have 20 teachers, are you in the position to issue those licenses to that school?
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. So we have, by virtue of everyone joining the webinar by email, registering by email, we're now going to reach out to everyone that's on the call, and we're going to get their details of their schools, and we're going to start the onboarding process. We're going to set up, we would like a champion within each school, as Ava had mentioned, that works with the IT already in the school, maybe one of the teachers, and then we will set them up as the admin, and we can set up 2 or 3 admin people, and we can together set up all the teachers with pro licenses, and that can be done pretty much straight away.
And I suppose, look, there's another question that's coming through there, and it was a question we've discussed, and Shane, you have tipped on it. What's the pricing of this after 6 months? And I suppose the straight answer at the moment is that's under negotiation at the moment due to the current climate. And we'll work in the background, I suppose, just for schools to know that we'll work in the background to see what we can do. And Shane talked about volume. And I suppose if there can be a kind of a collaborative approach to this, where schools are interested in signing up, the more schools obviously that sign up, the cheaper it's going to be. I suppose just to be as transparent as possible with schools, Shane and Leo, if they were to sign up as of now today and there was no free licensing happening, what is the cost of a pro license as of today, and if there was no pandemic at the moment?
Well, I mean, a single license with Zoom on an education 1-year prepay works out at it has a list price of €84 per year. So this is something that is, you know, we know that's an expensive when you've got lots of teachers on pro. However, if we over the next few months gather as much as possible into this account, we can go for a bulk licensing situation, and we can drive that cost absolutely through the floor to benefit everybody. But it is this concerted effort across the board with everybody. And look, if it doesn't work out, they'll all to basic free license mode, so there is no risk. You're not going to be suddenly landed with the bill for €84 by 40 staff inside in a school. This is a very important. But it is a 6-month window to drive this forward and to bring it up to the maximum amount of license. And then we go to Zoom and we say, look, here you go. Look, we've got 10,000 licenses, and I can tell you it drives the price absolutely through the floor to literally single digits per year, which is where we need to be with this, guys, if we're going to do it, because it's a wonderful product and it really changes everything from and the tools that you use every day. So
look, I'm just conscious of time. We're coming up to the hour and a half, so maybe we might finish up, and maybe just a final comment from the panelists. Might start with Julio.
Yeah, guys, I hope this has been of use and to see the potential of Zoom within your various schools and organisations. But just to reiterate, we're all in this together. We're here to help. There's no strings attached here. We want to get all the schools. I myself have kids in school and I see them struggling with the various coursework and things. So we can come together and get everyone set up very easily and get through this, and then we can reassess and take stock afterwards.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. I think it was super fun to work with the team here to get this webinar up and running. Some great questions coming through from everybody. You know, and I'm also a parent with 2 kids in primary school. And a big shout out to Mr. Ryan, who's in the audience there, looking at sending in questions. But again, yeah, this is something where we know there are challenges. We know that this has to be small baby steps, step by step. We're here for you to do this. This is where we think this is hugely beneficial, and it's just another thing that we're dealing with amongst all the other things that are going on in this COVID situation. So, as I say, I'd like to thank everybody. And there is a feedback form. When the webinar is over, you'll be taken to a feedback form. We hugely would love to hear your comments on that feedback form. It's massively encouraging to us to get that feedback and to know how we can improve on the next webinar. So I suppose that's as I say, much appreciated from me. Ivor.
Yeah, no, just to say, well, like as a principal here, I was just asked to give my perspective on it here, and like I say, Zoom has literally transformed how I'm doing business at the moment, and it's just been absolutely transformational. So, you know, if it's a tool that you think can work for you, I would embrace it and encourage you to do that. And I'd say well done to Shane and Leo and the guys at IMS, and to Terry as always for leading out great initiatives like this. I think it's worthwhile, and best of luck to everybody.
Okay, thank you. I suppose just to finish myself, I'd like to thank Shane and Leo for facilitating today, and thanking everybody who's given their input, be it a chat question there on the screen or who has spoken today. I suppose it's the start of a journey. It's a very, very new journey. And I suppose the most important thing, we're all on the journey together. Here in the Education Centre, I suppose our role, as I stated from the outset, is to support schools and do our best to help schools in any way possible to make your lives easier. I'm very, very aware of the stress that schools are under at the moment, teachers, staff, pupils, parents. So I suppose we want to act as a support mechanism. So if there's anything we can do to help you, to make your life easier, to make your school run as normal as possible in these abnormal times, we will do our best. So I suppose today was a new venture for ourselves. It's our first ever webinar. It was a trial and error. There was probably plenty of glitches along the way. Your feedback now, I suppose, after is really, really imperative. So that we can, I suppose, the plan with this really, I suppose, from our point of view, as an education centre network, is to model what we did here today nationally and across the country to support schools, not only in Kerry, but across the country. And I've no doubt in the coming weeks, the support services will probably do something very, very similar. So I suppose I'd like to thank everybody today for your participation. Over logged in today, which was fantastic. My hope would be that we do something similar now for the teachers in your school, not only the principals and the post holders, but for all teachers, to put them at ease and to hold their hands at these initial steps. Because I know as a principal, it's not easy when you're leading out new initiatives, and it's often helpful to have outside speakers or to have other people with supposedly expertise in that area to come in and give a hand. So maybe through this webinar, we'll roll this out, and I'll liaise with both Shane and Leo in the coming days to put another one of these webinars on for the staff in your school. So I'd like to thank you for your participation, and hopefully looking forward to working with you in the coming weeks. And also the guys will do their best, and ourselves will do our best to get back to you on all the questions. We haven't got back to some people yet. I see here in the end there's 27 questions up there. We'll reply to as many as possible, but I suppose just as a follow on from here, that Shane and Leo are there. Am I right in saying that, guys? If there's any follow on questions, you will take those questions. I'm taking myself out of the limelight here now, but you will take the questions via email and support the schools across Kerry in their quest to work with Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely, Terry, and thanks a million for facilitating this today as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're there, guys. You'll all get an email from our team to start the ball rolling.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.